Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Reverend Catie Scudera.
I'm Sally Fritchie, the ministerial intern here at First Parish in Needham.
And we're very excited to have you back for one of our videos about First Parish's monthly themes. This month, October, our monthly theme is Roots and Sources, which we've been exploring in our Sunday services and our Lifespan Religious Exploration classes. And really, we've been thinking about that from a lot of angles, but a big one is, of course, we've been thinking about the roots and sources of Unitarian Universalism. And Sally and I, just this past May, did do a great video about William Ellery Channing at the anniversary of his really important sermon, Unitarian Christianity. You can find that elsewhere on our parish's YouTube page. But there's really just so many people from UU history who made such a big impact on our faith tradition and on the United States and the world more broadly.
It's true. So I know that you, Reverend Catie, have a lot of historical knowledge, a lot of enthusiasm for our shared history. So I was thinking we could talk about what are some of your favorite figures from UU history.
Both of us love history so much. I think that's a great idea. And also it's so hard to choose.
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of good people in our past.
We have so many great spiritual ancestors. Okay. I'm not good at choosing favorites. I'm going to say these folks are not necessarily my favorites, because I have so many favorites.
Of course.
But people who come to mind me just thinking about folks who really influenced our tradition and society more broadly. One person I think about is from the 19th century. This was a little while ago. This was Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, who was just such an incredible activist and author. She was a black woman living in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, where she was a member of the Unitarian Church and a local AME congregation, so she was interfaith in that sense. And the litany of her accomplishments and the really important social programs that she advocated for is just incredible. As she was a speaker and author about, she was an author of many types of things, like journal articles, essays, poetry. She was incredible. But she was such an important figure in the abolition movement, very important figure in the suffragist movement. We're celebrating the 200th anniversary of women's suffrage this year, and unfortunately, Frances didn't live to see that come to reality, but she's a key advocate. She was really active in the temperance movement, which was interesting. We don't really think in our modern times about that being necessarily a positive thing to ban alcohol in the United States, but alcoholism was such a huge public health problem. It was actually a major component of a lot of both Unitarian and Universalist social programs. It's just, I just think that she's amazing.
Yeah, and she's an incredible writer, and you can find her writing today too. So if you're interested, if you like poetry,
she's very Googleable.
Yeah.
And the UU World did a great article on her not too long ago. That's our denominational magazine, just highlighting what an incredible person she was. So she's really great. Thinking in more modern history, a theologian who was very important to me in the 20th century was James Luther Adams, who was a white Unitarian Universalist minister. He was a convert, but first to Unitarianism, but he had such a long life. I think he lived into the 1990s, into his 90s. So he also was part of the transition when the Unitarian and Universalist movements merged in the 1960s. So he was a very important, served as a parish minister, especially here in New England, but also was a professor at Harvard Divinity School, and was very important in Christian ethics and progressive ethics for religious folks. Mostly based on his experiences in Nazi Germany and through World War II. Unitarianism in particular was very, very positive and optimistic about the human condition and humanity's ability to improve themselves, and World War II really shook that up, and James Luther Adams was able to pick up the problems of suffering and evil and the sort of just horrible humanitarian crises, genocide of World War II, and write about them in a way for progressive religious people. That was just very important. And also in combination with that, writing a lot about democracy and anti-fascism, again, based on his experiences in Nazi Germany and in World War II. But that was very influential in a wider sphere than Unitarian Universalism or progressive religious circles. It was also just very important for folks who are thinking about politics and democracy. He wrote amazing things. Also very Googleable. That's been very relevant today.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I love those two. But I know you're saying I love history, but you also love history. Do you have some folks who are just among your favorites?
I do. So I used to give history tours to coming-of-age groups that would come to visit Boston.
Oh, that's
And so I have some favorite Bostonians that kind of come to mind when I'm thinking of Unitarian Universalist historical figures. And my all-time favorite story is the story of Anne Whitney. So her story actually begins with the story of Charles Sumner, another Unitarian, who became very well known because just prior to the Civil War, he was in the legislature, representing Massachusetts, and made a very anti-slavery speech, no holds barred, and it very much upset some Southern senators who then attacked him on the floor of Congress, beat him over the head with a cane, and permanently damaged his brain. He did survive, but it was a huge deal. It was a horrific thing to happen, and it really kind of sparked the Civil War because it was so in the headlines and really shocked the North that there was this violence was happening. So Charles Sumner, when he died at the end of his long life, there was a contest in Boston to see who could be awarded the honor of sculpting a sculpture of him that would go in the public garden. And a Unitarian woman, Anne Whitney, entered the competition anonymously and won first place.
Wow.
And when they found out she was a woman, they gave it to the second place winner, who was a man.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so, and one of the reasons, so the Boston Art Commission, one of the reasons they gave for why it would be entirely inappropriate for a woman to sculpt this sculpture of our hero Charles Sumner is that a woman should not sculpt a man's calves.
Oh.
That his calves is inappropriate for a lady to sculpt a man's calves.
So he was in half pants. That's
No,
their dream.
he's in pants.
He's in regular pants?
It was just an excuse.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yes.
You would think it would at least be a body part that was exposed.
I know. Maybe
Well.
they were being euphemistic. Who knows? But this is on the official record.
Wow.
But Anne Whitney, wonderful Unitarian woman that she was, said, quote, "It will take more than the Boston Art Commission to quench me." And decades later, she still had the model she had made of this sculpture, and she and her friends raised money and had it cast in bronze. And her sculpture sits in the middle of Harvard Square. So there's this beautiful seated sculpture of Charles Sumner right in the middle of Harvard Square. Everyone has to walk past it and drive past it every day.
Is that the one in between Harvard College and First Parish Unitarian in Cambridge?
On like a traffic island, yes.
Yeah.
And he's seated with his calf kind of just out a little bit.
Oh, how scandalous.
Which I like to interpret as a sassy remark from Anne Whitney, Unitarian hero. And not only was Anne Whitney a Unitarian, but she was also a lesbian.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's kind of another exciting part of our history. Yeah. She lived with her partner, Addie Manning.
Yeah.
Is that right? Addie or Abby?
Abby. Yeah.
And they lived together their whole lives, and they're actually buried under the same headstone at Mount Auburn Cemetery, which I think is very romantic.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah, I love that story. I love her kind of tenacity and artistic talent, too. That's a really important part of our story as a tradition as well.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
No, it's incredible not just all the things that folks Unitarian Universalists did in history, but also just thinking about the diversity of folks within our traditions over the course of history that we know about today.
Yeah.
A lot of those things were really hidden.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I think telling these stories is really important and also really fun. I mean, maybe it makes us nerds, but I think these stories are genuinely entertaining and really important to
You can let us know in the comments if you think we're all nerds talking about all these people that we like from history.
Yeah, totally.
No, but please let us know if you have any thoughts about the roots and sources of Unitarian Universalism, if you're interested in looking up any of these folks we've talked about today, or if you have favorite Unitarians, Universalists, and Unitarian Universalists that you think that people should know about, you can leave a comment for us either on YouTube or on social media. Where you might see this on Facebook or have it, or maybe gotten the link for it on Instagram. So there's many ways to get in touch with us. Our church website is uuneedham.org, so you can always get in touch with me and Sally directly as well.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.